Apologies, I pressed the wrong key. This is it. Welcome to my humble Lisbon flat. Maybe later I'll show you the views. I can see the Tagus river right there. And I've just been on 5 Live discussing football. So I'm fresh and hyper, just determined to battle you all if you disagree with me. But even if you don't, there are lots to talk about. Because this has been, let's not forget, this has been a cup competition, first of all. One that shouldn't determine or shouldn't bring huge conclusions. But at the same time, it has been one competition that has with a magnifying glass, basically, it has shown some things that were wrong and some things that need improving in certain teams. I hope you're listening to me. I hope you can hear me well. I've got a proper microphone. You can see it here. That's the one. And I hope that we're okay. No sound. Is that right? Is there no sound? Okay. Let's sort that out first then. Yes, we can hear. Okay. So where to start? I know you all want to talk about Barcelona. Matthias, La Liga, the new, how do you call it? The new Farmers League. You're the kind of guy that takes conclusions after the game. And I suppose during the game changes your mind, no? Because if one scores first, they are the good ones. And if the other one wins at the end, they're the good ones. Must be really confusing not to have criteria about football. Anyway, basically, this has been, as I say, a Champions League that has shown few things that need changing, and we will go into Barcelona in a minute. But let's just quickly go game by game. PSG Atalanta was a game that confirmed where football is moving. That's the first thing. Football now is about creating and using big spaces, not small ones. By that I mean small ones is what Barcelona used to do. Get the ball and get the team together in the last third where there's hardly no spaces, move it quick enough to find gaps, pockets of spaces, and then with talent beat teams. That cannot happen anymore. It's about using big spaces, quick transitions, and creating spaces in behind that allows teams to attack better. For that, you need quality, but mostly you need pace. You need to be quick with your feet, but with your mind as well. Quick decisions. That's what where football is going. And you need the energy to do it all over the pitch. That's what you need. Without pace, without energy, you get left behind. And that's what's happening with Spanish teams. Spanish teams right now, no Spanish teams for the first time since 2007. It's actually a trend. It's not by chance. I wrote about it maybe even a year ago. We're simply not humble enough to recognize that teams have overtaken us. Leagues have overtaken us. Not so much the whole league in terms of how it gets sold abroad. I think it's Premier League and then Spain in terms of the money that's coming in from foreign audiences. But you see in Nagelsmann and you see in Flick and you see in Tuchel teams that actually have got these things that I'm telling you about. The pace and the energy to do it. And then you look at the Spanish teams and you see another problem. The problem being that the quality has been reduced. I do believe that the coaches are still good, but I think they're part of the solution, but perhaps of the problem as well. Everybody's got to be humble to realize that football is overtaking us, that we took it where it is now, but then, especially in Germany, in the Premier League, Pep Guardiola continues to do his thing, but it's different to what he used to do at Barcelona. So there is all that is happening. There is on one hand, as I say, we're not humble enough. On the other hand, we cannot get the players that we used to get. And why is that? There's a financial reason, first of all. You look at the strikers. You look at Benzema and Jovic is the second striker at Real Madrid. No Cristiano anymore. You look at Atletico Madrid, there's an old Diego Costa and a Morata that doesn't always maximizes his potential. You look at Barcelona, and you look at a 33-year-old and a 33-year-old Messi and a 33-year-old Luis Suarez, who had not scored away since the Bayern Munich goal for 5 years. So, and Sevilla, De Jong is the striker, when actually they used to have Luis Fabiano and Canute. So your questions are coming in, and I will deal with them. But let me just put this point across that we haven't got the finances now, because you go to Italy and because of the new rule in which if you hadn't, it was more 2 years ago, you weren't in Italy, but you arrived in that period, you can actually, and this is directed to players and coaches, you are exempt of taxes, the 50%, the first 50% of your wages, which means that really your wages, your taxes tend to be about 21 to 25%. You cannot compete with that. It's 51, I think it's 47 to 51% in Spain. And everybody wants to the Premier League. So, because they pay the biggest wages. So there is all that. And there is all that quite clearly works against La Liga. And La Liga has to start looking at Spanish coaches, giving them the opportunity to the young ones to actually show, correct the dynamic, and also young players. The problem is a 20-year-old Ferran Torres, who to me is going to be the best player in the next 10 years in Spain, goes to City. But you still got Ansu Fati. It's difficult because they're not being given much of a chance. There are players. Eric Garcia maybe coming back to Barcelona. Unai Simon is a very good goalkeeper for Athletic Bilbao. There are players, but need to be given more opportunities. So, on top of that, Barcelona and Madrid have got their own financial difficulties as well. I think Stephen was relating to that, Stephen Jones in the comment. And with that in mind, then to change the dynamic is going to be very difficult. That's the first point I wanted to make. Let me talk briefly about Pep Guardiola, and then I'll tell you a little bit what's happening at Barcelona, and then I'll take your questions, if that's okay. Well, this discussion about Pep Guardiola, I've lost. I've lost from minute one, from the moment the game finished. Why? Because the team that loses is never right. That's how arguments go in football, right? So, and because City lost, whatever I'm going to tell you, you're going to say, yeah, but they lost. So I've lost this argument. I'll give it to you. You're right, and I'm wrong. But even though I'm wrong, I think it deserves an explanation of why Pep Guardiola went the way he went, and why he had to react to that. And again, my thinking on the whole picture of City and of the game. So the reason why he went with three defenders, a system that was practiced for 3 days before but hasn't been used by Pep Guardiola that often in his career, is because two things. He thought there is two forwards that pressure the centre-backs. With a third one, it'd be easier to build. Another reason is that Lyon are very compact in the middle, so it'd be good to have superiority in wide areas. So you put the full-backs as wing-backs, and they get helped by midfielders as well. And third, because there'll be more people in the middle stopping the counter-attack of Lyon, which is their hardest, the biggest talent, the counter-attack, right? There's a second reason why this team was used in this way, and that is because of the mistakes that City do regularly when the stakes are very high in Champions League games, for instance. Mistakes like the two Laporte mistakes against Spurs, the mistake of the team when they defended in the first leg against the Spurs, the Son, if you remember, he was just driving with the ball and nobody was stopping him. The last four moves in the game against Lyon, it was 4 mistakes of City which changed the tie. Those mistakes is what Pep Guardiola wanted to minimize, and so he was partly changing because of the or Lyon, but partly because of the problems that he's found with his own team. They were always going to create, and they had, I think it was 18 shots on goal for 7 of Lyon. They were always going to create the chances, but it's the mistakes that he wanted to minimize. Quite clearly, that affected the way that City played, and let me just move it a little bit like that, because I think the light is making it. There's a lot of light in Lisbon. So quite clearly, trying to minimize those mistakes meant that system was going to be used, and that affected the way that the team played. And that affected the team, especially the centre backs, linking up with Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne was missing a little bit. So Pep Guardiola realized that for the first 25 minutes wasn't fully working. But a team, especially when you're trying something new, you have to actually allow it to grow in a game. Anyway, after the first 25 minutes, I think City was superior to Lyon. And when the change was made and Mahrez came in and Fernandinho went off, went back to a more usual formation. Second half, City was superior. And then, as I said, in the last 5 moves, there were 4 mistakes at least by City and 1 referee mistake. On the second goal, Laporta was clipped and should have been given as a foul. He wasn't. You can argue as well that when you actually move your legs and the ball goes through your legs, it could be, and you are in an offside position, it could have been given as an offside position. But fine, if you don't want to give that offside, there was a foul before anyway. But that was created by a Laporte pass to an area that it was never going to go through. That was full of Lyon players. So mistake of with 2-1 down and still 7-8 minutes to go. The mistake of Sterling, Laporte mistake, Sterling mistake. Is that a coach mistake? Is that down to Pep Guardiola? And then of course Ederson fumbling the ball for the third goal. Again, is that a coaching mistake? But obviously, quite clearly, perhaps City is not as good as to be considered top 4 or one of the top 4 teams in Europe. Clearly, they've proven that when that happens, it just doesn't have enough. So that's how it's been analysed, and that's how I see of it as well. This is a team that makes too many mistakes in both boxes. What does a coach do? The coach takes the team from box to box. That's what a coach does. And then creates the conditions to defend well and actually to attack well as well. And I think that happened in the game. And that's what Pep Guardiola has been doing all his career. It's your time to say he's a fraud, he doesn't know, he is this, he is that. Go and do it. It's your time because he lost. Those that want to look at football in a different way, in a deeper way, then you can argue with me about that. But I'm pointing out at things that created the elimination of City. Right. That's what I wanted to say about City. About Barcelona. Let's go on that as well. And again, let me just move it a bit. See if that gets a little bit darker because it's very light. So, yes. Those tactics were slightly fraudulent. It's your time, John. All of you, come on, call him whatever you want to call him, because he lost. And for you, it's all about losing or winning, isn't it? So if he had won, he wouldn't be a fraud. I don't believe in that way of understanding the game. I don't believe that. But, go ahead. It's your time to enjoy all this and go for it. For me, Pep Guardiola is a manager that changed football. Not the only one in the history of football to do that, but one that I've seen very closely. And basically has all my respect. He's not perfect, makes mistakes. But there you are. As I said, this argument, I was always going to lose because City lost. So, it's your time to analyze it the way you analyze it, which by the sounds of it, for many of you, it's depending what happens on the last game. I don't understand football like that. So on Barcelona, there's going to be a board meeting on Monday. Bartomeu was thinking has been thinking of Pochettino and was thinking of other possibilities as well. There's a lot of opposition within the club and outside the club for Pochettino to become the manager. Before the A2, perhaps it would have been a bigger possibility in the sense that Bartomeu had a slightly stronger position to take a decision. He will still take a decision, backed by the director of football if he stays, Eric Abidal, and Ramon Planas, who's the number 2 to Eric Abidal and who's close to Pochettino. But that will all happen from Monday. Quique Setién will be sacked and a new manager will be chosen. In the last day, there's been other conversations being had with managers. One of them is Ronald Koeman. You're going to hear a lot about Ronald Koeman. I think he said no in January, and now perhaps he feels that is a good opportunity. You know, he had a heart problem, and of course we've all been through confinement, and that kind of changes us. A health issue and the situation that we've all gone through changes us. Maybe it makes you think a little bit, you know, you have to take opportunities when they come. And would Koeman be able to say no on a second time? And I'm not so sure. I think he will listen and perhaps he will be the chosen one. We'll have to see. But in any case, it is a choice to content everyone, not a long-term one. There will be elections. That's something that in the board meeting that will take place tomorrow would also be discussed. And what Bartomeu, I think, is going to say, is that there will be elections as soon as possible. That could be March. If he resigns, which nobody expects that to happen, that could be earlier. If 75% of the board resigns, that also could be earlier. But I don't think anybody expects that. The idea is to continue for Bartomeu. Why? Because he feels that a decision has to be taken right now about the manager, first of all. So perhaps choose Koeman and then, you know, that's sorted. But also because he's got two things that affect him directly and personally. One, the accounts have not been approved by the Assembly of Season Ticket Holders. What that means is that while that doesn't happen, and the accounts are not closed, there is the possibility if he moves away, if he resigns, that whoever comes in designs the accounts in a way in which the board that's in place now ends up with red numbers. If that happens, the directors have to pay from their own pockets. So he wants to sort that out. But I also feel, and he talks about that, I also feel that there is a feeling that he's got that it's his responsibility to be in charge and take the big decisions, and then give time to whoever comes next to actually prepare themselves for taking over. So there is all that he's thinking of, and there is something else. There is court cases still pending, one with Neymar, for instance, which again could affect him personally. And I reckon he will try to sort that out before he actually leaves. So he will leave earlier than the summer. And you know that he cannot be there for the new mandate. So all in all, you are talking about still a few months before anything happens election-wise. So Quique will be sacked. There will be a new manager in place relatively soon, and then big decisions will have to be taken. The problem is whoever comes in, if he had been Pochettino or Koeman, it's not their role to actually take those big decisions. It's the club's role. They have to do that. They were the ones who have given long contracts to players. I've got the list here. Busquets until 2023, and he's 32 already. Alba, he's 31, 2024. Luis Suarez, 33 until 2021, but can be renewed one more year. Piqué, 33 until 2022. Arturo Vidal is 33, and they all have high salaries. It could be up till almost 500 million euros that they are getting. Is the most expensive squad in the world and the oldest 11 to play in the Champions League. So something has to change. So whoever you give the job to, they have to put on the bench some of these guys and start bringing the youth the young players that they think it can make a difference for them. They're talking about Araujo, centre-back, Ricky Puig, centre midfield, Collado midfield as well, obviously Ansu Fati, Trincao is coming as well. Pedri is only 17, he may go on loan if he doesn't get to play, but it may be an opportunity to have players of that caliber. They say he could be the new Iniesta. It's a big word, but in any case, he's a talented midfielder that can play in the middle and beat players. A lot of things that will come closer to what is needed, and we go full circle. And after that, I'll let you ask questions. That the team needs the energy and the pace that they simply do not have. That's where I let you talk. So Giacomo is saying they haven't money because their team is so expensive. Obviously, that is one of the problems, and the problem that they got themselves into that problem because they gave the club to the players. They wanted to keep these players that I want so much. And by the way, like the same thing with Spanish football, it goes in football goes in life in cycles. Our cycle is finishing, and it's happening the same with Barcelona. But it has happened for a long while, and nobody was brave enough to take the required decisions, which is basically, yes, to renew the squad, which will happen now. Jonathan Jurado says, why don't they get rid of Suarez and play Griezmann up top? At the moment, Suarez has been useful to them, and I think now they will accept an offer for Suarez. Suarez has got a contract, and he will happily stay on. So that's the problem. Nobody is able to pay the wages that the likes of Suarez will have, and he doesn't want to leave. He's 33, enjoying life in Barcelona, doesn't want to leave. But the fact that Suarez always had to play, and these are not my words, by Quique Setién, meant that Griezmann had to be adapted to a role that he wasn't comfortable with. And he never really felt comfortable. The side is divided. Not everybody gets, not so much getting on, but they're not killing for each other, let's put it that way. There was a moment after the Celta draw, this was the second draw after the confinement that really handed over the initiative to Real Madrid in the league. After the draw, there were big words being exchanged between Quique Setién and the players. And Quique Setién even said, I know that you can get rid of me. You've done it with other managers. And players were questioning the quality of the coach. They reached a truce, but there were some players, Ter Stegen in particular, that defended the coach and said, look, he's the man in charge. He should actually take the decisions. But not everybody believed in that. Some of the players felt there was a lack of respect from the coaches to the players, and really there wasn't harmony. This is not to, Quique Setién not fully blamed for what's happening. This is a decay that has been going on for a long time. Johnny Walker, great name, says Pep to Barca. No, he's going to be at City for at least one more year, and after that we will see. Can Pochettino fix the problem? Is Dum Deed saying, can Pochettino fix the problems of Barcelona? He's not the one to actually fix the biggest problem, which is a squad that needs renewal. That's the club. But can he deal with big players? He's done it. When he came to Spurs, if you remember, and at Espanyol as well, there were big names. And little by little, he just moved them aside. And then started using the players and molding the players to his way of thinking. Can he do that? Yes. Does he need time? Absolutely. Is it a good idea for him to go to Barcelona? Me personally, I think that perhaps it isn't. Can he, he's one of the top coaches in the world. Does he want to be affected by everything that's happening at Barcelona right now? I don't know. I will think about it. If it was him, I would say perhaps it's good, really good, that actually my name is linked to Barcelona, but it may not be a good idea to actually go there right now when everything is burning down, really. More questions. Rabidu says, Pochettino, Koeman, you went, so I don't know what you said. Let me see if I find you. Koeman better for me. Well, Koeman is quite clearly, Koeman knows Barcelona, and he will keep everybody quiet because he's got good relationships with the media, good relationships within the club, and while there is a transition, he will do a role, I imagine. But it's not easy as we've been describing. What else have we got? Arteta for Barcelona, John. Not yet, but he will be a candidate at some point. For me, Arteta is one of the best young coaches in Europe. He hasn't had the opportunity, much opportunity to prove it, but he's been learning, he's been listening, he's changed things at Arsenal. He hasn't taken Arsenal to a huge leap into getting closer to the top four, not yet. He will need the backing in the market, but I do feel that as a coach, he's definitely a top coach. Odegaard to start at Madrid, he didn't leave home, he says. Well, it took everybody by surprise, including the player, but especially Real Sociedad, when on a Thursday afternoon last week, Real Madrid rang to say he's coming back. They were obviously waiting to the end of the season to ask Zidane and for Zidane to take a decision. And basically, he needs that dynamism, energy, pace, freshness that we've been talking about. So Odegaard has to go back. And it will take a while for him to take his position in the team. He's only 21, isn't he? But at the same time, Modric is getting older. And what Zidane does very well is rotates, makes everybody important and feel an important part of the team. Kroos, I think Kroos, Valverde, Odegaard, Modric, Casemiro, those will be the ones. And depending on the game, it'll go one way or another. So can Madrid sell Bale? Let me see who he was. Oh, Isco Disco. They don't want to sell Bale. They will let him go for free. What a situation. And I wrote about it in BBC, in a blog for the BBC. And basically, the player doesn't want to go. Real Madrid would like him to go. Nobody can pay his wages. And all in all, it's one where it just doesn't seem to have a way out. Bale doesn't care if he doesn't play. He just simply doesn't care. But the thing I'm adding about this is that, yes, he doesn't care, but what does that tell you? I mean, he really is at the top of his game, or should be at the top of his game. He's 30. But instead, he just doesn't care. He prefers to play golf, I imagine. And that, to me, suggests that he's hurt, that he would wish he would have been treated in a different way. So the only solution, I believe, is for Real Madrid to pay the whole of his contract that he's got left, 2 years contract, and that's a lot of money, and Real Madrid don't want to pay that at the moment. So let's keep an eye on that. What else? Oh, that's going very fast. Why does Thiago want to leave Bayern and go to Liverpool? I'll tell you a story which I've told already. Thiago wanted to go to Manchester United, and when he was at Bayern, about to sign for Bayern, when he was in Munich, there was a last try to get him to Manchester United, but David Moyes decided that he wasn't a player for him. He wants to come to the Premier League. What I heard is that Liverpool have got a lot of players in that position and don't have the money, unless it's really good money, to actually, or don't want to spend that money for him. That's the last I heard, and I haven't asked for the last week or so. So if I hear any more, I'll let you know, but that's what I was told. If that's moved on, I'll try to find out for you. What else? What impact do you think players, that's Stej, Dalwani, what impact do you think players like Trincao and Pedri will have at Barcelona next season? I think Pedri would like to go on loan to Germany. And even though he's 17, is a good way of developing as a player in Germany, because you will have the minutes, you will play. That's what will happen. Trincao is a player that they don't have, a winger. Because Ansu Fati is used as a winger, but Ansu Fati is 17 anyway. He's not a winger, he's a number 9. Obviously, he cannot play there. So in the last year and a half, he's played as a winger. And with Ansu Fati and Trincao, they may be able to play the 4-3-3 that they used to play, with maybe Messi through the middle. What do we play? Griezmann. So it's not easy, but it gives options, certainly. I think Pedri, for what I'm hearing, going on loan, still a possibility, but everything also will have to be decided depending on the new manager. Aki Usman says, what about CR7 to Barcelona? He was never going to go to Barcelona. never, ever was going to go to Barcelona. The story is that Juventus, no matter what they say, would like to get rid of that wage, which is a very big wage. I've been told that he may cost in 2 years 90 million euros, 9-0. And Juventus are going to be forced to sell other players like Balague or others. That's the message that they got after I told the story that through Mendes and through Juventus, all the technical secretaries in the big clubs know that if they want Ronaldo, he's available. But it costs so much that nobody can afford that. So then that means that Juventus has had to say, well, maybe it's Balague who we want to get rid of. It's not so much Cristiano. But Cristiano is 35 and he's got 2 years left in his contract. So Mendes is doing a good job of actually putting the name out there. And was it his son? It could be a fake story, but wasn't his son, Cristiano's son, that put a picture of Cristiano with a PSG shirt saying PSG, yes or no? Those things are his agent doing the right job of putting the seed out there for a possibility. Hussein Hafal says, why did Raul walk out of Arsenal? He didn't. I don't think he walked out. I think there's a restructuring going on, and quite clearly Raul Sanllehi has got a lot of contacts, and that's why he came in. But perhaps he's not a football person in terms of football criteria. That was not his role, and I do feel that we know there is an investigation going on within the club, whatever they tell you, in terms of how everything was done, how deals have been done, and I've got the impression that everything that is happening at Arsenal is looked at very closely, and the finances are tight, and basically between these looking closely and finances being tight, it got to a point where Raul Sanllehi had to move on. Are you confident with Xavi as a Barca coach? Jitesh Dalhawini? Second question from you, eh? We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I don't think you can judge from what he does in Qatar. I've spoken to him, and I did a show with him for La Liga TV, which is still being broadcast, and he does talk the talk. He loves football, and it will be an opportunity to show that he can. In my eyes, my advice, well, who am I, would be to actually tell him, go to a club in Europe or somewhere else and test yourself, learn, get it wrong without the pressure of being at Barcelona. But I can tell you that he feels that he's absolutely prepared to go to Barcelona. He thinks he can do it. I think he thinks it's not the right time now, but whoever wins the elections, whenever that is, would like to have him next season. That's clearly the intention of Xavi. What else? From Ireland, do you think if Alisson was playing against Atletico that they would have won the Champions League this year? Kieran B. This cup competition, where there is only one fixture per leg, suggests that not the best teams will win it, but the ones who make less mistakes. I think Liverpool have had a good run, have been very dominating for a year, for 2 years. Certainly, the league, the Champions League, is proof of that. And last year in Europe, this year domestically anyway, and you've seen it. You are watching the games. It's impossible to predict. You cannot predict what's happening. It's impossible to predict. So how can you predict if what Champions League will win Liverpool will win the Champions League when actually it could be won by Leipzig, and it could be won by Leipzig. But I think that this format, which is exciting for the fans, it goes against, in my eyes, it goes a little bit against the principles of sport for two reasons. One, there is no fans, and fans should be there. Football is a game of emotions, and the way we're playing it at the moment takes the emotions away. It's all about the business. The money has decided we have to keep playing, so we keep playing. But I can tell you it's very weird for the players, for the manager, for the ones who are covering, like myself, very strange. So from that point of view, it doesn't reflect sport, elite sport, but we know, we are in the situation that we're in. On the other hand, I think sport is also about correcting mistakes. So if you actually have made a mistake, it'd be good if you have the opportunity to correct it and improve from it. And it's too harsh the way it's played at the moment. City made 4 mistakes at the end of the game, 4 mistakes, which cost them the tie, and there was no time to correct it. Obviously, Lyon have taken advantage of that. Is Lyon a better team? I don't think so. But they took advantage of that, and in a cup competition, absolutely anything can happen. So I think who wins it won't be the best team. It'll be the one that makes less mistakes. Having said that, if it's Bayern, you can tell that it was probably the best team too. But you know what I'm trying to say, that there are mistakes that happened. It could be a referee mistake as well that has got such a huge repercussion in the game that makes it exciting as a cup game, but it doesn't reflect really how good or bad teams are. That's what I think. Let me see more questions. So, will Messi stay or leave? Who's saying that? Brother Caleb. No, that's Suarez must go now. And that it. Habib Muhammad. He will stay. He's renewed his contract, but he has stopped, as you all know. I've been saying it in the Ask Guillem videos. You all know that he stopped the negotiations for a new contract because it's not clear on what direction the club is taking. We will see what happens next summer with Messi, because a year is a long time. He will be 34 at the time as well. I know that both the candidates and obviously Bartomeu in charge now would like to keep looking after Messi. But he will have to take a decision as well based on one thing that we say in Spanish, illusion, to have the hope that something good can happen, to have the right players around him, to actually see Barcelona taking the right decisions, to not be scared by them. All that has to happen before he actually starts negotiating a new contract. Tam Trainer saying, why did I leave Sky Sports? My contract ran out and I was signed by the BBC. Obviously, Sky had lost the television rights of La Liga, but I think I wanted to try myself in doing something else. I had done it for 20 years for Sky Sports. So after a couple of years of doing the BBC, and it allowed me to create this YouTube channel and the Pure Football podcast, and try different things, still writing the books, all that. There was another opportunity to work on Spanish football, La Liga TV. And now what I feel is, I don't know if you agree, there is so many people talking about football and so many good writers and so many well-informed people that it's better to specialize again. So for a while, I wanted to cover perhaps too much, and now specializing is a good thing. And the Pure Football podcast allows me to just do that other creative things, if you like. So as you know, I've been working for in the Champions League for CBS, for TV2 in Norway, still doing blog for them and doing some videos for them and some work for them. BBC, the Football Daily show. For sport, I do a column there, the Catalan newspaper, and the YouTube and the Pure Football podcast. Am I forgetting anything? And then the books. I'm going to start writing a book. No, I have started writing a book on Maradona. And at the end of the Champions League, I'm going to just hide in a cave for a while, and I will disappear for a bit because I need to write a book. So I probably will come back at the beginning of October. There will be a little bit of a break that I need to take to just be able to get the book, at least write half of it. And then I will have until December to send the draft. Messi to leave for Manchester City, forget it. It's not going to happen. Pogba is still going to Real Madrid. Now the finances are not right. Pogba tried it. Real Madrid tried it. It didn't work out. Pogba, I think, is happy now with Manchester United that seem, in my eyes, seemed quite exciting, much more exciting than it has been for a while. Coutinho stays at Barcelona. Well, the Coutinho situation, And with this, I'm going to finish. It's an interesting one because they're trying to convince somebody to take Coutinho. At the moment, nobody's taking that step, not even Arsenal. But there's still a long while for the end of the transfer market. Maybe the new coach says, "Oh no, let's keep Coutinho." But what Barcelona wants to do is get rid of that wage, get money through Coutinho, and be able to get other players. Perhaps even convince Lautaro Martinez. They've got everything agreed personally, but they need to convince Inter. Maybe he goes to Inter again. Who knows? That move cannot be defined where we stand right now, because nobody is taking that step. Newcastle was thinking about it if they had actually changed ownership. Leicester thought about it as well, but they haven't got the finances. That's where we stand at the moment. And Coutinho, his representative, still looking for things to happen in the Premier League first. But we will see. Heading Ten Hag to Barcelona. As I said earlier in the video, what I'm hearing is that Koeman has been approached and now he has to decide. And then we will see what happens with that. And if he's the chosen one, what he does. Right, it's been 41 minutes, 24 seconds of me talking and boring you to death. So it's time for me to, what am I doing now? Oh, I'm doing a podcast with Grant Wall, top journalist from America. So I'll have something to eat first, do that. And then I have to write a long article about Pochettino for Sport, which should come out tomorrow as well. So that's it. I'll speak to you soon. I hope that this has worked. And if it has, send me messages and let me know, and maybe we could do it again, right? Oh, yes, Sevilla, but Manchester United tonight. What a game. I feel that Sevilla is the kind of Spanish club that actually understands what's happening with football a little bit. So it's got the pace and the energy to play in the modern way. I think tactically it's more diverse than Manchester United, but Manchester United have got better forwards. This kind of game, if it's tight, is defined by the forwards. So I wouldn't be surprised if most of you think that Sevilla are not favourites, but I do like the look of Sevilla, and it'll be very, very tight, very difficult to predict. I would like Sevilla to go through. I know Lopetegui and I know the coaches there, but it's going to be very, very, very tight. All right, I need to go. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Bye.